Hey there, beauty buddies. So today I'm going to be showing you how I do my bronzer. So to start off, I'm going to take my Smashbox Bronze Light and Suntan Matte and my Sigma F25, which is a great dupe for the MAC 138, but much, much cheaper. I'm going to dab my brush onto my product a couple of times, tap off the excess, and starting up near my hairline, I'm going to bring it down and back up just a couple times, and then I'm going to blend it out just in tiny little circular motions in that same area. I'm going to re-dab it onto my product, bring it from my temple down along my jawline and back a couple times just like we did up here, and then blend it out using those same circular motions. I'm going to repeat that on the other side. And now when you bring it into the temples, you only want to go in to about the outer corner of your iris, so about right here. And you want to keep it right on the cheekbone, which is the highest point of your face, because when the sun naturally hits your face, it's going to darken the highest points first. So your cheekbones, your nose, your chin, your forehead. And that's where we're keeping most of this color, so it looks the most natural. So next we're going to take a bit more color, just a tiny little bit, and dab it onto the chin. And then swirl it out. Same thing, right down the nose. Little circular motions. And then I'm going to take 5 to 6 taps of product and blend it all over my neck. So I start about here, go down, then bring it up underneath. Make sure to bring it up a little bit under your ears just so you have that continuity. The last step I sometimes do, not always, especially for women that don't like to wear any sort of eye product besides mascara. I take a little bit of the product on my brush, same brush, and just sweep it over the lids a couple times. And this gives a really, really nice contour. It keeps it really natural. I do it for myself sometimes. It still looks like you're not wearing product there necessarily, but does give your eyes some depth. So the next thing we're going to do is move on to our sheen color. That first bronzer I use is completely matte because, I mean, think about when you tan, you're not turning shimmery all of a sudden. So I'm going to be using NARS Laguna, which is a very light, pretty sheer, I guess it's kind of like a caramely brown. So I'm going to take my Sephora It fan brush, get a dab a bit of color on, just onto the top of the bristles. And I'm going to be bringing it in a C shape, almost, like a half C. From the top of my cheekbone, just to the side of my eyebrow, so right onto my occipital bone. You can do it 4 or 5 times. Same thing on the other side, dab 2, 3 times onto that, tap off the excess. And that just gives your face a really nice sheen. I like using a gold base highlighter when I'm doing a bronze look instead of a more white base one like NARS Albatross, which I might have here to show you. Yep, which is this. It's a very, very pale light gold. It looks kind of white on here. But I think this looks a lot more natural. And then the reason that I use a matte and a shimmer separately, like I said, is because having a shimmer isn't that natural all over your face. You don't naturally gain like little particles of shimmer when you tan. But so using small brushes and placing it just on the high points of your face allows you to get that really gorgeous sun-kissed sheen just where you want it. You're not going to be looking like a disco ball. So we're going to take a bit more, put it right on top of the brow bone. Same thing on the other side. And now my skin is really oily, so especially on my nose and my chin. So they tend to get shiny about 6 hours into the day, which is unusual. I just use a really great foundation and powder that help to control that. But if you have oily skin, I would not recommend putting this on your nose or your chin, especially maybe even not your cheeks if those tend to get oily as well, because you're going to be getting a natural sheen there during the day, and this is just going to make it look greasy. And again, that'll just bring the high points forward. It's going to make your face look, it's almost in effect kind of like reverse contouring. Instead of making parts of your face recede, you're bringing parts of your face forward. which is a lot more natural. It's a great way to make your face and your bone structure stand out if you don't want to do contouring or if you just have absolutely no idea how to. Um, and that can also be done with one of those gold or icy highlighters as well. So now taking the same NARS Laguna and my, where did it go? Oh, there it is. My Sony Kashuk eyeshadow brush, which is a plain medium-sized paddle brush. I'm going to have a bit of color onto it, tap off the excess. And now, I don't always do this step for myself. Occasionally I do it for myself. Sometimes if I go out at night or if I'm just feeling really tired or kind of like run down, I'll do this step because I feel like it really wakens you up, makes your eyes look bigger, and just brings the whole look together. So I have a little bit of color on my brush. Sides on. There we go. And I'm going to pull my lid up. I'm going to place it just in the center. Little tiny strokes. Just in the very center, and then kind of fade it out just slightly to the sides. I'm going to take my finger, ring finger's best, and just blend it out a tiny little bit. You can also use a cotton swab for this step if you don't like using your finger on your face. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Blend it out. And using the same brush or a pencil brush, I prefer a pencil brush, but I don't have one with me today, so I will be using this one. On the tip of the brush, take the Laguna or whatever shimmery bronzer you're using and place it just at the tear duct. Bring it slightly around, slightly under. Show you a close up here. And just blend it out a little bit. Okay, so by placing the bronzer in the middle of your eye, you're making your eyes look wider at their center because you're bringing that part forward, you're bringing attention to it, which will make your eyes look bigger. By putting it at the inner tear duct, you're making your eyes look brighter and more awake. You can also achieve this with a more champagne nude color or with one of those icy highlighters that we talked about, which is what I tend to use if I'm doing this technique. But with a bronze look, if you have this shade all over your face already, using a more icy golden, white gold highlighter is not your best bet. So that's about it. Before I finish, I'm going to be taking my Makeup Forever HD Kabuki brush and just blending it all out softly. Make sure to stay in the areas that you were so you're not getting it all over your face. You don't want to blend too much, otherwise you're going to lose all that product you just put on. Make sure to blend along that jawline, over my chin, down my nose, over my eyes. So obviously if you're doing this, I would do this before you do your eye makeup. If you are going to be putting anything in your eyes, so you can blend over them without disturbing any of that. And just a little bit down on my neck, just make sure there's no areas that didn't get any. Bring it up on my cheeks. And I'm done. Before this, obviously I'd already done my foundation, powder, etc. And my blush. With this look, I know a lot of people neglect to put blush on when they're doing bronzer because they think that they're semi-interchangeable. They're not. Think about when you get a really great tan. There is that hint of redness behind it. You will have gotten a tiny little bit of a burn. Right up here, on your chin, on your occipital bone, brow bone, and a tiny little bit right across the bridge of your nose. And by putting your blush there, before your application of this, and then blending it all together, you're getting a more realistic look. One that looks like you're not necessarily wearing makeup. Maybe you had been out in the sun, took a tropical vacation, lucky you. And it's just going to tie it look together and make it look just a whole lot more natural. That's about it for bronzing. After this, I'll probably just throw on some chapstick and finish my hair. As you can tell, it's still all frizzy and hasn't been done. So, got to finish that. But that's about it. And after this, I'm ready to go.